It's no secret that Redfall was a massive letdown on more than one level. Even if you ignore all the flaws the game had in the execution of its systems, the core of what that game was is not what anyone would have expected, or wanted for that matter, when you hear that Arkane Studios is working on a vampire game. It's ironic then that only a month after Redfall was released, developer and publisher Fast Travel Games announces Vampire the Masquerade Justice. A game that promises exactly what any Arkane fan would have wanted from a vampire game by the studio behind Dishonored. The only catch? It's VR only. While I was at Gamescom last week, I got to go hands-on for 30 minutes with Vampire the Masquerade Justice to get a first impression of the game myself, as well as record some gameplay footage that you'll be seeing here. The demo that I played didn't have a big focus on story, but the general idea is that you are a vampire whose sire has been murdered, and in an attempt to get revenge, you'll be exploring the darker side of the beautiful Venice. For a VR game, the environments look quite nice, framing the usually romantic streets and canals of Venice in a much grittier light, reminding us that this is about the seedy underbelly of the city, not the shiny surface of tourist attractions. And naturally, as with any vampire media, streaks of gothic aesthetic find themselves in the game as well. You'll be keeping a close eye on your surroundings as you play, since a vital part of completing each level is figuring out the possible approaches to get in and out alive. Where are the enemies patrolling? Which doors and windows are open, or can be opened? In one of the levels I played, I had to first turn off a nearby generator before I could get all close and personal with my target. Finding all the options in a level and then planning your own route to approach it is made easy by the ability to scan your surroundings, which highlights the heartbeat of nearby enemies, the visibility cones of surveillance cameras, possible important objects to interact with, and so on. By now, you've probably realized why I compared Vampire the Masquerade Justice to Dishonored. It is an immersive sim, with a focus on stealth, of course, but even more than that, the mechanics are pretty similar. Maybe the most important ability your character possesses is Blink, which can transport you a short distance. Then you also have a crossbow on your right hand that allows you to shoot different kinds of bolts that you can craft if you have resources for them. There's also the vampiric abilities, like temporary invisibility, shadow traps that engulf enemies if they walk across them, and a concentrated beam of energy that causes the target to explode. There will be more available in the full game, as you complete levels and gain experience points, which you can use on a skill tree, but even with these few abilities, I had a lot of possibilities to approach the level, maybe too many. I'm sure this will be fine in the final game when you're slowly introduced to the abilities one by one, but being thrown right into it, I was a little overwhelmed by everything I had to get accustomed to so quickly. These vampiric powers can all be pretty powerful, so to limit you from using them endlessly, they drain your energy, which you can refill by drinking blood. You can't drink blood from dead bodies though, so you'll have to figure out ways to get close to enemies while they're still alive to drink their blood. Alternatively, if that doesn't work, you can find some rats running around that might help you refill that blood. Here's a snippet of what the gameplay looks like once you get out of the tutorial.
The plan was to hide the phone with the incriminating message somewhere inside Rosa's rundown old bar. Trouble was, Pietro had no absolute location. Something was making him forget. His head had been tampered with, but I was beginning to suspect there was more to it. Mortal Venetians shunned some areas in Venice like the plague. I could feel an oppressive force in the air, like it was cursed. It made ordinary people turn away and left the Hecata to do their business undisturbed.
You'll come across a construction site swarming with thugs. Use your powers of persuasion to get them to talk.
We'll give them a nice welcome to show up here. Yeah, someone said they saw a monster and I can lay off the drinking. Yeah, they've never seen anyone move that fast.
No sign of the intruder.
Hey, asshole!
It's here. Anything suspicious. Damn it! So, did you get a look at them? There's a bonus for the person who takes the intruder out.
I'm honestly not sure how I'd react to them. Can you see them?
Anyone picking up?
I can't overstate how much Vampire the Masquerade Justice feels like Dishonored. And that isn't just me, by the way. When talking to the developers, they told me that Dishonored was a big inspiration for them, as well as the original Thief and System Shock 2. So if you're itching for more games like those, of which there aren't too many these days, and you can deal with and have access to VR, Vampire the Masquerade Justice is a game you should absolutely keep your eye on. The elements for a solid entry into the library of great VR games, which is a rather short list for now, is most definitely there. Vampire the Masquerade Justice is set to release later this year on PSVR2 and Meta Quest. For more like this, make sure to like and subscribe here at GameLuster.